Hello everybody, my name is Kerro, and today we are going to do a replay review of Kerro's Witch Doctor here. So Witch Doctor support, he's going to be played as support this game, and he's a kind of very supportive support. He's got a pretty decent, if a bit unreliable stun. Paralyzing cast can be very good if you can get it. If you can get it off in the right situation, it's extremely good. But in other situations, it's very meh. It does a little bit of damage, and it does a lot of bounces at the higher level. So if you can get it, if you can get it cast on two enemy heroes that are close to each other with no other thing they can bounce to, you can effectively stun lock those two heroes for quite a while. Now every bounce gives a 1 second stun duration, and you have a max bounce of 8. So in theory, you could stun two heroes for 4 seconds with this. So it would be close to a, say, shackle shot level of efficiency with a lot of damage attached as well. However, that's rarely the case. Of course, it depends how fast it bounces between them and all that stuff. And you know, it's a bit unreliable. I'm not a huge fan of the skill, but it is rather good if you can get it off in the right situation. He also has Voodoo Restoration. This is an area of effect heal around himself. Basically, he turns himself into like a healing ward, like Juggernaut's healing ward. It's a channel, or it's a toggle, and it costs mana per sec, and it gives you a bunch of regen. It's a very effective heal, but it is rather mana intensive, so it's a lot better once you get some good mana items up, like Arcane Boots. It's very good for sustained pushing. Yeah. Then we have Maledict. This is a bit of an advanced nuke, you could say. I'm so annoyed that these go away while we are paused. Yeah. So this basically does damage. It has a base damage, and then it adds damage for every 100 HP lost since Maledict was cast. So you cast it on someone, and then if they take damage from other sources that bring them significantly lower, they will take a lot of damage from Maledict. If they don't take damage from anything else, it's a rather very bad spell. But if they do take a lot of damage, say if you're laning with a Luna or someone who has a good nuke they can just throw down, it can do a very potent amount of damage. Then you have Death Ward. It's basically another channel. Oh, it's just so annoying. Yeah. So, yeah, it can hit. It hits one target at level 1 and 2, and then level 3 it'll hit another target. So it'll basically hit one target, and then the shot will move on to another one, kind of like Lunar Glaives. So it's basically a channeled ward. So you'll see Witch Doctor standing there dancing, going crazy, and there'll be a ward in front of him. That shoots a bunch of shots very rapidly, and it shoots every 0.22 seconds, so nearly 5 shots or above 4 shots per second, and it does a lot of damage. It's very potent, and usually see it comboed with this guy actually faces Void, since if people are trapped in the chrono they can't get away from it, which is usually the counter. You also have you can also just stun him, of course, to get rid of it. So he's a little bit mana greedy. He's a pretty good support in that he's got some attack range, he's got some heal, a little bit of stun, a little bit of nuke. Pretty all-rounder, this guy. He's got some decent pushing abilities, but his most potent side is probably the combo potential with Death Ward, I think. Though certainly Maledict and the other skills here are good in their own sense. It's very open how you want to skill this guy. I very much approve of this guy, Kerro here, not scaling up at the start of the game here. So let's just get started. This is about a 3.6k MMR game, so it's a lot higher than what we usually feature here on the channel. His starting items here, I like this a lot, though I would prefer to have one item slot cleared, just in case you need like a TP or something. It's a little bit more handy. I'm not sure that extra Iron Branch is really worth it. So, yeah, we have a little bit of a bug here with the replay. He hasn't eaten a tango yet, but it just says it has. So, immediately I'm pretty surprised that we're seeing an off-lane dual lane, especially a Bloodseeker Witch Doctor lane at 3.6k MMR. That seems like the sort of thing that shouldn't be going on here, certainly since we have a Slark solo top. And this Bloodseeker plus Witch Doctor isn't a lane that can really even contest this Void very heavily. Like, they can't really harass the Void out, and the Witch Doctor, as we see, can do a ton of harassment damage. He's wisely harassing the Witch Doctor, and this is very clever because the Bloodseeker, of course, has Bloodbath, which means that he can recuperate health very easily. So the weak point of the lane is actually the Witch Doctor. As we can see here, he's already reduced to half health pretty easily the Bloodseeker actually having to shoo away this Skyraf. So already I think it's not a very optimal lane setup. I would very much think that him going top and offering a trident up there would have been a lot better, and having another character down here in the offlane. Though they don't have a very good offlaner on the team. It looks like it is an all-pick game. It is a common situation that your lanes are not super ideal, given the fact that everyone just kind of picks what they want. But let's see. Let's see how this lane is doing. So far, it's doing pretty horrible. The Witch Doctor actually has 3 last hits, and the Bloodseeker only has 1. And of course, the Bloodseeker really, more than most heroes, need last hits, because that's also where most of his regen comes from Bloodbath. That's kind of the strength of the hero, certainly in the laning phase, is that the Bloodseeker really needs these last hits, so he can actually sustain. There we go. See him getting 50 heal there from just 1 last hit. It's quite a lot. Cancelling the clarity there from the Skyraf, very important Skyraf. He does a lot of damage in the laning stage, but he is mana hungry, so if you can stop his mana, it's very good. Casket level 1 here, it's pretty good. I think that's probably right most of the time. They don't have any other burst damage, so I don't think Maledict will do much good. That's also, I don't think this is a super good lane overall, just because of this Maledict. He chooses to make a magic wand out of this. I think just a regular magic stick would have been better, and then just not buy the 3rd Ironwood branch. I think would have been a lot better, because your economy is kind of hampered by this. Now, I would love to speed this up, but there's honestly just so much going on right now. They've got a bit of a... It's kind of like a tightrope walk here in regards to harassment and trying to make stuff happen here without, going too far out of position. Okay, missed the last hit there. Pretty bad. The Bloodseeker gets himself killed by the Skyraf here, which is obviously not very good. And, a few last hits missed here. Even if you are support, you will find yourself in situations where you carry in here. So you can grab the last hits and should get last hits, which is why, picking support isn't a way to opt out of having to last hit. It just means there's fewer situations where you should try. You still need to, in order to play a good support, be able to last it. So, yeah. That's just a common misconception by lower level players. Now I think he's a bit too far forward, given that the Bloodseeker obviously is here. This is one of the good situations I was talking about. Obviously getting a lot out of that cask here, but ultimately it does not look like... Ooh, just manages to be enough. Though he did have to sacrifice his salve there. Probably should have backed after the Bloodseeker died, probably, or at least, held a lower profile.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Go, Bloodseeker finally getting some last hits in. But we see the Void is having a decent time here, and the Timbersaw and especially the Tinker is doing really well mid. That's kind of the standout thing in this game overall so far, is that the Tinker is nearly not being contested in mid right now. I think it's probably the Meepo mid, yeah. Meepo not a super good character for fighting Tinker, any kind of melee. It's gonna have a hard time against much of them scenes. So that's kind of, if there's anything losing in the game right now, it's that Tinker just kind of crushing the mid. The Meepo having 6 last hit to the Tinker's 20. So yeah, that's not super good. The Bloodseeker just auto-tagging here makes me very surprised. If this is supposed to be a 3.6 KMMR game, then, just blatantly missing last hits like that seems very weird. Bloodseeker actually going top now seems really bad. Like, this is leaving our Witch Doctor here with very few good options. If he tries to be too aggressive here, we just saw what the Skyraf and the Void can do if they put their mind to it. And all he can pretty much do now is passively leech XP. Looks like they will get a kill up there, the Viper being very much out of position. Yeah. So, I mean, at least it will be somewhat worth it, but there's no one really grabbing the farm down here. The Witch Doctor's getting some XP, but there's no one here to contest the Void, even though they weren't getting much done before. And, last hits are gonna be sparse. So, I mean, it would have been... They got the kill, so it's not catastrophic, but it could easily have been if they didn't get the kill at all. Skyraf with an inept pull up there. He when you pull into the single camp and don't stack or pull through, pull this camp here after this one, when this one is about to die, then the waves stack up and you get like a double wave, which will push, which is very good for Witch Doctor here. Or very good if you want to push the tower, but it doesn't look like with a Skyraf and a... Meepo managed to kill the Tinker, that's huge. Very good for them. This Tinker needs to die. If the Tinker just gets to free farm for, say, another 5 to 10 minutes, then they are in kind of big doo-doo. So, yeah, Slark goes down here now. This might be a conscious choice to you know, switch the lanes. I don't like the amount of attempted last hitting coming from our Witch Doctor here. I think that is, and yeah, he's actually making it quite hard for the Slark to get last hits. And I don't know if he's actually... I said in the beginning he's playing support, but I'm honestly not sure he's consciously doing that at the moment, because he is kinda just playing like a core would play. Aside from the very beginning where he was kinda harassing a little bit. Now the Slark is here, the Void kinda has to respect that a little bit. The Void does have an escape that will break the leap. So we see, he sees an engagement up here, gets the TP and comes to join it, which is absolutely the right thing to do. He manages to come in and join up for some XP, which is very good. But that's, you know, that's one of the... That's why you keep a TP on you, basically. Tinker managed to pick off the Meepo, which is kind of bad for them. Don't want the Tinker to get kills, and don't want the Meepo to die. So that's... obviously don't want your heroes to die, and you don't want the enemies to get kills, but in those two specifically is kind of the worst hero to get kills and the worst hero to die for them. We go, he's got Death Ward now. There's a Timbersaw here. Timbersaw, huge amount of burst damage. We don't have a lot of HP as this guy. He's kind of a stereotypical casting kind of support, so he doesn't have super much going for him with regard to tank. And Timbersaw, very, very good at damage. And now he's pretty much dead. No way he can survive this. Yeah, just too much. So far, he's been caught out twice where he's kind of overextended, not respected the fact that he is a squishy hero against all of these carries or semi-carries. This Timbersaw, kind of dangerous prey for this Slark. That ultimate could certainly have gone a lot better. And yeah, giving a Slark kill away there is certainly also a mistake. Bloodseeker now gonna die down there as well. Yeah. So his team is kind of falling apart right now, and it's mostly his main mistake right now is just overextending, just being out of place, not respecting the fact that he can't take on two heroes alone at this stage as a Witch Doctor. He's a support. Like mainly what he's supposed to do is just be there to throw in a cask and a maledict or heal a bit for the other damage dealers to be able to do that. His only way to really kill someone, especially with this skill build with no maledict, is this Death Ward, and he can't just throw down the Death Ward. He needs to stand still with that, and you know, enemies can just leave. Certainly heroes like Void and Timbersaw will just leave with no problem. Yeah, the Void getting 2 very good kills on there. Also a very bad hero to get kills on. Not as bad as the Tinker, arguably, but still pretty bad. You don't want him to get up to his Mask of Madness early. Make it very easy for him to get solo kills with that the Chronosphere. That is CM, but there's nothing to really do now that Viper shows up as well. Looks like they're not agreeing on where to go here, since they have got 2 in the jungle, but he pulls back. Our Witch Doctor pulls back, and we have 2 in the jungle. That could have ended really badly if they ran into someone and then got an engagement out there without being able to do stuff. Without having the Witch Doctor there to help them out. Now he joins, goes up top. Oh, actually that's the Tinker. So now the AA is gonna die up there. Ooh, maybe the Tinker will die. He should have probably gone up there once he saw the Tinker TP'd in, because let's just check the Tinker real fast when he dies here. Okay, the Tinker actually didn't lose too much there. But the Skywrath with the Void managed to kill off the Witch Doctor. Again, Witch Doctor just kind of caught out of position, like just kind of being somewhere where he really shouldn't be. Okay, that's the counter to Bloodseeker, is the TP, mighty TP scroll. No way for Bloodseeker to stop that. So even though Timbersaw was woefully outmatched just because he had just enough HP and good enough reactions there, he just managed to get out. So yeah. Silence, of course, does not prevent you from using items. Pretty much only Doom and Disruptor's ultimate with Aghanims is the effects I can remember that prevent you from using items, and Void's Chronosphere. So, only those really super freaking hard disables. They might be able to catch out Purple there, they might be able to catch out the Timbersaw, there we are.
tower is under attack.
Nice attempt there, but the instant silence there from the AA, well, not the AA, from the Skywrath, too much. And looks like it might actually be a good engagement. Looks decent so far, but yeah, the Tinker joins up. Much of the machines just wrecked him, and the burst from the Tinker. Now he's gonna die again. There's no way to get out of this. Or is there? Maybe Bloodseeker just kinda sacrifices himself for him there. If the Tinker stayed, they could have killed the Bloodseeker, but you know, maybe he didn't have the overview for it. Or the you know, maybe he just wanted to play it safe. And that's honestly, I think, the biggest point of critique here for our Witch Doctor is, you know, he has 2 deaths to his name, both of which could easily have been avoided. He was caught out alone twice, where, you know, this is not a character you really want to be caught out alone with at all. He can't do a lot alone.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Specifically Slark, I think, would be a good for him to hang out with, given that his ultimate. If Slark can manage to pounce on someone, and you get the ultimate down, that's a very good chance for a kill. Pretty much force a kill on almost anyone. So they gather up mid, hoping there's someone who will go for something here. He spots out the double damage rune, and he goes for it.
Double damage.
Not a super bad choice getting on the Witch Doctor here. It's very risky leaving it out there. Though maybe someone like the Slark could have snatched it up. Looks like the enemies want to pressure mid very much. They can't really defend with just the 2 of them. And the tower's just for fit. So he's just beelining for an Aghanim here. He's not getting anything. Actually using the Chronosphere to his advantage there. Very nice. And absolutely the Death Ward was the only reason why they managed to do anything that engagement at all. Even though he dies here, absolutely worth him going in. Don't think they would have gotten any kills without that Death Ward. So a bad trade still, but our Witch Doctor managed to do a lot there. You see he got 2 kills from that. So very nice from him. I think probably taking the fight in the first place might not have been the smartest thing, but good execution on the part of the Witch Doctor. Not liking the beelining for the Aghanims here. I think certainly he could have gone for some support items. Certainly some wards would have been very apropos, very appropriate. And, you know, we have our Ancient Apparition, whose Aghanims would actually be a higher priority in my opinion. Close to hitting the Tinker there, but I don't think even hitting the Tinker at this point would do super much. So, VD, he's just hitting down mid. Let's just take a moment to examine Tinker's items, because that's the scary part right now. He's got Blink, Boost to Travel, he's got a Soul Ring, he's got a Bottle, he's working up for... Is that an Eul's? Or a Dagon? It's probably a Dagon. Could be a Dagon. He's halfway to his Aghanims, to be fair, but still, I don't know if it's really worth it. Like, it's very tempting to just beeline for these big items, but a lot of the time it really just isn't worth it. And I think, you know, his team getting caught out so much is kind of because there's so few wards on the map.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Especially going for this Aghanims before even getting Arcane Boots, I think is maybe a bit dubious. Arcane Boots very useful on this guy. He is very mana hungry, especially with that Voodoo Restoration. But you know, it can work certainly, but I think they're just so behind right now. When you are ahead, you can kind of go for the snowball effect with these items, but not right now. The Tinker is just so much of a problem.
Bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
At this point, it's just super hard because the Tinker is doing so ridiculously well. If we turn this over to net worth, and we just... There we are. Yeah, the Tinker is snowballing super hard right now. The Void is also an issue. Pretty much, you know, it very much looks like he doesn't think he's playing support, which means that his carries don't really have enough support. Bad engagement here. They
Dire's
managed to kill the
bottom
Tinker, but
tower
still not
is under
worth it.
attack.
Because, you know, even if you kill the Tinker here, the Void is still a huge issue.
Dire's
You have all
bottom
these heroes
tower
here,
has fallen.
which are supposed to have early impact, in particular the Bloodseeker and the Slark, which is just not there. And even if you get the Aghanims up here, I don't know how much it's gonna matter. Because you made it, you got it off once, but that is because kind of the Void put down a Chrono and you happen to be in a position to do something with it. Go again. Yeah, so there's just too much disabled to use this Death Ward effectively. We saw here he managed to get a kill on the Timbersaw, I think. Let me see. Nope, didn't get the kill on the Timbersaw, but the Timbersaw died because of the Death Ward there. You know, there's just nothing to hold them in place, nothing to really pull the weight there with that regard. And I think certainly it would have been better to play this as a harder support and just try to make sure your carries get some farm instead of focusing very much on your own performance here, which is what, you know, just spending all your gold on this Aghanims right away is doing. Because we haven't seen any de-warding going on at all. The other team doesn't look like they have any wards, but that's, you know... Let me just actually... Okay, they do have wards, so just this view I can't see them in. Right, there's a skirmish up top, Witch Doctor isn't there for it. He's just kind of farming up. Of course, this is... his plan is still just to rush this Aghanims, but his team is always getting destroyed around him. And it's just not... Even if you get this Aghanims up, it's not a... in this sense, in this case, it's not a miracle item. It's not gonna win you the game. So I think it's just not gonna be enough. Like it's a very hard item to farm up. It would mean more if it was on the AA, honestly. AA or Meepo. Meepo doesn't have it already. Meepo doesn't have it. I think the Death Ward before on the Tinker was a bit unwarranted as well, though they managed to get a kill a little bit later on him. He isn't one of those supports you would really want to blink on, so that's not really the item choice I'm looking for. I'm just looking for him to buy more support items. Leave the Aghanims grinding to the AA perhaps, but honestly their team composition just isn't ideal for a Witch Doctor. I mean it's pretty good with the Meepo actually. If the Meepo could get in, but yeah. The enemies are just snowballed too hard. No one was focused on ganking the Tinker early on, which you really need to do. That's the way to counteract the Tinker. It's kind of like you just have to gank him early on, keep him down. There's the Chrono. He's definitely looking for these Chronos to do damage, and he does manage to do a lot in the Chrono, but it just isn't enough. Like, even though he kills 2 there, it just, you know, they still lost the fight. Still lost the fight. Now he's going for a pipe.
Tower is under attack.
This isn't the worst, but I don't know that, you know... I don't know that it'll really be enough. Like, he's looking more to figure out how to kill the enemy. He's focusing a lot on how this combo plan. He just wants to place these Death Wards in pivotal positions. And that's why he's getting the Aghanims, he's getting all this stuff, because he really does a very nice kill on that Tinker by the AA. But our Witch Doctor here, he really just wants to get that crucial Death Ward off. And the fault here is that he can't carry the game. The fault is that even if he fends off the enemy, it doesn't matter if the Slark and the Bloodseeker and the Meepo don't get fat. If they don't get fat, you're not gonna win the game. It's that simple. You getting fat is not gonna matter. It's not in the long run. Like it matters a lot when you got these items, but it's not gonna be anything compared to, you know, a fat Slark being able to actually just man fight the Void. And that's sort of the issue.
Is under attack.
So they've lost all their towers. There's 6 towers behind, and they just can't seem to get anything done. Like they just defend, and they got some good defending fights, but this is a losing game. As soon as all you're doing is defending, it's a very much a losing game. We've got a Death Ward. It does a lot of damage now. So, just a quick note on how much damage it does with the Scepter. Effectively, the Scepter just gives you more bounces and a bit more damage. So it goes from, at level 2 here, 90 damage to 120 with 4 bounces. So if you get the enemy team caught out really well with it, it'll kill them fast because everyone's gonna get hit. Pretty much everyone. It can hit 4 out of 5 of the enemy team, so if it can hit them, it'll hit pretty much everyone, and it will grind them down very fast. But again, it's just, he really just needs to hit, and all of them. That's Chrono, puts it down. It hits very little, doesn't get a kill. And that's that, like, 4,000 gold. That was that impact, that 4,000 gold had there. Of course he also has some other stuff, but it was just not enough. And you know, this is, to me, this more or less looks like... So, looks like they are getting pretty good defense down here. But they still lost a lot of their heroes, so a not super great trade for them there. He was going for pipe, now he's going for blink. Blink is gonna help him get in position for the Death Ward, but they have lost Rax now. It's just they're bleeding out basically. It's just a question of time, and it's not pretty. If they can't manage to get any counter push going, this is a losing game. Managed to kill the Tinker, very big. Tinker is gonna be out for 90 seconds. This pretty much means probably they can defend, but nothing more. Like it's not gonna be enough. He could just finish the pipe, but now they're gonna take Roche, and that's probably gonna signal the end. Then the Tinker's gonna revive. They're gonna do one last push. So the problem is that he's kind of trying to play Witch Doctor as a snowballer, and in this case he doesn't have the combo potential with his teammates. He doesn't have a Void on his team. He doesn't have a Disruptor, doesn't have anyone who can throw down these big ultimates he can kind of take advantage of. There's one of the enemy team, which if it's placed correctly, or fortunately, he can just kind of take advantage of. Got a lot of Death Ward off there, but we see it's just not doing enough at this point. It's too late for it to really have the impact it needs to. Even though it's level 3 with all this, and it's 150 damage per hit, that's...
bottom tower is under attack.
It's a lot of damage, I have to say it's a lot of damage, but I think it is physical damage, so it's reduced by armor. A lot of these guys have a lot of armor, and you know, yeah, it's not going to be pretty. So the problem is he's kind of playing this guy like a snowballer, like it's like a Storm Spirit or a Brewmaster or someone who just kind of needs to get an item and can have a huge impact with that one item. But Witch Doctor doesn't really work that way. Witch Doctor is a lot more of a support and really needs, you know, to enable his team rather than to just succeed on his own. And he wasn't looking to enable his team too much. He was just looking to farm this item for a lot of the game. He wasn't really making too many support moves. And the thing with playing support is you are reliant on your teammates to succeed. And the best thing you can do then is just to try and
not for whom the spell doors.
Is to just try and enable them, just to make their situation better rather than focus on your own.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Triple kill!
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
So it
Dire's
kind
middle
of
tower
sucks
is
that
under attack.
it kind of comes down to the Bloodseeker and the Slark definitely didn't play as well as they could have, but you know, conversely maybe they would have been able to do something more
Dire's
if
middle tower has fallen.
the Witch Doctor wasn't trying outright to get last hits in lane
Dire's
and
ancient
was a little
is
bit more
under
focused on
attack.
creating room
the
for
Radiant now have
the
mega creeps.
Bloodseeker.
Dire's ancient is under
Yeah.
attack. Radiant victory.
Come on. Okay, fair enough. We'll just do it here then. So apparently there's a bit of a mess up with when we have it at sped up with actually spawning the end screen. So we'll just take a look at it here. What? Yeah. So from my perspective, what happened there is he had a kind of bad lane. They were laning a Witch Doctor and a Bloodseeker against a Faceless Void and a Skywrath. Skywrath is one of the best harassing supporters in the game right now in lane. Witch Doctor is not really. He's okay, but he's not great. It's not like a Venomancer or a Kerro with a few levels that have these abilities that can just do a lot. And Skywrath's Arcane Bolt is one of the best there. Just does so much damage. And the Skywrath played it pretty well. The Faceless Void managed to even get a few kills on the Bloodseeker. Faceless Void, his weakness in lane, as I've talked about in the past, is he really does not have a lot of offensive potential. And I would have loved to see him try to pressure the Void a little bit. That said, it was a pretty weak lane. It was pretty odd seeing a dual lane off lane, or just dual lane setups at 3.6k MMR. That seems too high to run that kind of just plain bad strategy. I'm very surprised that they had no one who wanted to solo offlane at least. The Meepo mid also kind of made things hard for them. The Tinker had almost no resistance in mid, just because the Meepo just has a very hard time against the Tinker mid, to be honest. So unfortunate matchups there. No one tried to gank the Tinker early on. The Tinker did die a few times fairly early on, but not in the laning stage. No one really rotated to ganking because they were under so much pressure in the lanes. All the lanes kind of was lost, or were lost. And I think that certainly had a huge bearing on it. And I think it was a mistake just beelining for that Aghanim Scepter. As we saw, it took too long to finish. It did have some impact. The Death Ward certainly had some impact even before the Aghanim Scepter. But, you know, was it worth the 4,000 gold and not participating in a lot of team fights? I don't think so. I think at that point you just have... It has to be something that's worth more than a better Death Ward. It has to be some item with a lot more impact than that. It has to be like a Blink on a Sand King or a Tide Hunter or something of that magnitude where it just changes the dynamics of the fights completely. Because I don't think the Death Ward here was it. I think the Death Ward didn't do enough to merit just beelining for that Aghanim Scepter. And I think it should definitely have fought and won the team fights. So I was kind of missing him playing more as a support. And if they were looking to just farm up an Aghanim Scepter on one of the supports, I think it should have been the Ancient Apparition. Just because the Ancient Apparition is a lot... his ultimate is a lot better, I think. It's a lot easier to get off when you don't have... In this situation it's a lot better. Just they didn't have anything to really combo the Death Ward with. He managed to take advantage of the Void's Chronospheres a few times, but other than that, it wasn't the best game to be relying on a combo with Death Ward in, I think. So I would have loved to see more TPs, more guarding of the Slark and the Bloodseeker for a little bit, but in the end of the day, probably wouldn't have been enough. Probably needed the Slark and the Bloodseeker to just do a lot better. Probably needed to shut down the Tinker a lot more in lane, and then we can talk about them having a good chance of winning this. But pretty decently played. I think the stats here, 8, 6, 11. That I don't think it's fair to look at it like that, because he was kind of playing a core. He was kind of trying to farm in the same lane Bloodseeker was. There was a few devs early on where you were just kind of alone in the lane and get caught out by two. Your two first devs were like that, and I think those could have been avoided pretty easy. Like just retreat. Don't, like, if the enemies smell out that you are just alone and you are far away from your tower and you don't really have a good escape as a support here, you are gonna be in for some pain, and we saw that 2 times. So a third of your kills there could have been avoided. Yeah, I think that's about all I have for this game. So, as always, if you want to send in a replay, the directions is in the comments or the description for this video, not the comments. As usual, I'm looking more to critique than to just feature good plays. So, rather than send in your best plays, send in plays or replays where you think, I don't know what went wrong here, I'd like some feedback, something like that. Yeah, my name's been Cerebellum. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'm out.